Okay, it's me again. We're just here, and I want you to take note in this building here, okay? That's a place called Sweeney or Swenny's Pharmacy, okay? I'm not sure the year it was built, but I know it's a very old place. James Joyce used to come in here because he met his future wife down in a hotel just a little bit down the road, but I didn't get a chance to film that, okay? But he used to go in there and get his lemon soap when he ran out of it. Handmade lemon soap. Now this place, and I'm going to go across now in a second, has pictures, excuse the bus, pictures that were not picked up since the early 1900s, and they're still in the drawers in here, and also prescriptions that were not picked up since the 1900s. So it's not even a pharmacy now, it's actually a museum, and it's on Lincoln Place, okay? Well worth a visit, and you'll find them on Facebook. But there's a very sad story connected to this, and I'm going to go across the road now in a minute. A little boy called Lionel Sweeney, and his dad owned this pharmacy, and during 1916 he was out playing outside, and obviously the rising was happening, and kids, being curious little creatures, he heard the snap crackle of gunfire, and of course he was very curious as to know what was going on. So off he had on a little adventure, as little kids do, and his family never saw him again. And apparently a little boy was spotted up around Mount Street, where the bloodiest of battles took place during 1916 of his description. And this little boy was spotted giving a wounded British soldier a drink of water from the canal. And that goes to show you the innocence of little kids. They don't care about the uniform, they don't care, you know, who they are. They just see a wounded man lying in pain on the ground, and this little boy gave him a drink of water because this British soldier was apparently mortally wounded and was dying. And sadly, the little boy who matched Lionel's description was wounded himself very badly and brought to Baggot Street Hospital. And you know, they never really got his full identity out of him, because sadly the poor little fella passed away and was buried out in Dean's Grange in a mass burial plot. Now the poor family never saw, he was only 11 or 12 at the time, a little boy, and they never saw their precious son, precious brother again. And they put out a notification on the newspapers. No one could identify him or tell where he went. Back then, obviously, you know, they had no mobile phones or no social media or anything like that, so they had to use word of mouth and newspapers. And at that time, probably a lot of newspapers were not being printed because of the rising during that week. Anyway, his body was never found, never located, but it was believed he was buried out in a mass plot out in Dean's Grange. But I believe in recent times, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, that it was identified as little Lionel Sweeney. His poor dad ended up in a mental institution over it. He had a nervous breakdown, never got over it. So imagine that little boy took his last footsteps. Imagine he was probably playing with something out the front there on this exact spot where I'm going to take you. Heard all the battle, the screaming, the shouting, and the gunfire and the gun battle down there on Mount Street Bridge. And you know, being curious as the kids are, and the innocence of them, he took off on a little adventure, thinking he'd have a little bit of fun, and the poor little guy ended up unfortunately dead. So that's the family home, that's the business that they ran. I'm going to go across the road now in a second, but if you're ever in Dublin, you should really go in here. I haven't been in here myself, but I actually saw this advertised and on a programme in RTE, and I said to the other half here, I said, Jesus, it's one of the days I have to go in here. I have to go in here to have a look. The place is like time has never forgotten. The cabinets are the same, the interior is still the exact same, but the history coming from this place is actually, you know, unreal, and not a lot of many people know that. And I'm not saying, oh, I know more than you or whatever. It's just that I've done the research and I've been told various things. And Joe Duffy actually wrote a book called Children of the Rising, well worth a read. And that's how I got my interest in this little, you know, little tiny pharmacy up in Lincoln Place. So I'm going to go across the road now to show you. And my shoelace is open. Anyway, so here we go. I'm going to show you all inside here. Fascinating place. This is where James Joyce would have come in and gotten his lemon soap. See all the pictures? And as I said, just a little bit down the road, there's his wife there, Nora Barnacle. Hope I pronounced that right. She worked as a chambermaid in a hotel just a little bit down the road. I won't go down there today because I want to get to one more place for you. And I don't know who that hat is. It's fascinating stuff. Really, really is. And imagine that's all, you know, the same woodwork. Nothing has changed. Nothing has changed in the interior. So I'll just film in here. See? Can you see inside there? Nothing has changed. Cabinets or nothing. With all books in there. It's like a little museum, and they do little readouts here, you know, of James Joyce. And there's the guy that runs it. Can't think of his name. So there you go. There's the old pharmacy bottles. There's Nora there. Oh, hiya, how are you? And I met the owner. I'm filming this on my 1916 Facebook page.
Oh, right. Well, come.
Yeah, so we're going inside. I just met the owner.
Oh, right. Who's the owner?
Yeah, you are, aren't you?
Oh, yeah. Oh, right, you're talking.
Say hello to everyone.
Hello, you're all very welcome.
Yeah, that's
You're now in Sweeney's Chemist, which was, of course, here since 1847. And we have these lovely people who are filming inside. And, of course, this is famous in 1904 in Ulysses, when in chapter 5, Leopold Bloom has been sent in by his wife Molly to buy her face cream because she's a singer, a soprano. And then, of course, being a typical man and husband, he forgets the prescription. So the chemist has to look it up in his prescription book. And, of course, when the chemist is doing this, Leopold describes the interior of the chemist, and he sees a bar of lemon soap, decides he's going to buy it for himself. He's going to the Turkish baths, which used to be at the end of the block here. There's a photograph of them here, just there, just here. Yep. And of course they're no longer there. It's the Cervantes Institute now. But he buys a bar of lemon soap, pays 4p, and that's all in chapter 5 in Ulysses, the one they call the Lotus Eaters.
And we were telling them all about little Lionel Sweeney as well.
Little Lionel Sweeney was the son of this guy here, Frederick. And of course, in 1916, Lionel, at the age of 13, decides to go and explore during all the fuss, being a typical adventurous young boy, and ends up on Man Street. And the story goes that there was a wounded soldier, and he was helping him to get some water, and he himself was shot. And of course, poor Lionel's body was never found because all the bodies were taken up and buried in a mass grave. And of course, Frederick, his father, went into a depression because of that, and he actually ended up dying in Grange Gorman. So, and that was a great tragedy for everyone. And he was married twice, and the first wife died, as many women died in those days, having their children. After 4 children, and then he married a girl who worked in the shop here. So, and his name was Sweeney, the first wife, because they were Church of Ireland. And then his second wife was from Wexford. She was a Murphy, same as me, and a distant cousin, apparently. And she was Catholic, so he added an extra E, so they became Sweeney. So Sweeney and Sweeney, they're both accurate in describing the family.
Yeah. It's fascinating, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And I'm the Livy that emailed. Do you remember about the page and Joe Duffy? So I'm the reason that I was just saying to they're still live, that there's 55,000 now on the page. So they're all seeing you now. Yeah. So I was saying, so they have to come in here, don't they?
Yes, they do. Indeed. Yeah. And then you must buy a bar of lemon soap. And a bar of lemon soap is organic, and it's the same, as close to the recipe as it could get, from chapter 5 in 1904 on the 16th of June. when Ulysses was set all in one day, starting at 8 in the morning
Yeah.
and finishing in the early hours of the following morning and going to 18 different places in Dublin, and of course talking to Dublin people as we all talk. We're all born here.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, Joyce was a very good representative of us.
Yeah.
But he did leave when he was in his early 20s, never coming back apart from a very short holidays. But he did have 9 siblings, and many of those siblings had children and grandchildren, and those people come into us
Yeah.
here at the moment. And in fact, there's a very good example of 2 of them, and this is Barry and Keith.
Fantastic.
And of course, Barry is a musician. He has his own band, and Keith is a plumber.
Ooh.
And Keith has also installed an extra bit of plumbing for us here as well.
Fantastic.
And of course, as you can see, there were all the Joyces were tall and handsome.
Yeah.
And full of fun and full of wit.
And I was saying as well, some of the prescriptions and some of the photos have never been picked up.
They're still here. If you pull out one of these or 2 of these drawers here, you'll see
All the prescriptions.
This is willow bark, and of course this is preceded aspirin. Then you have valerian, which if you're a little bit needing sleep and that, you
Yeah.
take some of that infused in the boiling water. And then coal tar pine was of course from the pine tree, and it was sort of in blocks like this, and of course you infused it, and then it was very good.
And I
for your
noticed
skin.
lipsticks and makeup in the corner for the ladies.
On top of that, you have lots of photographs which were developed here, and of course the film
Yeah.
was sold here. Then they would bring back their their film to be developed, and then they would forget to collect them. So as
Yeah.
you can see, many of these are nurses. Nurses were already taking pictures.
Probably from the
And
dental
then
hospital would have been, or
From well, we had Hollow Street around the corner.
yeah.
Then we had Patrick Dunn's up the road, and they all feature in Ulysses.
Great stuff.
James Joyce talks about them.
And all those fantastic old photos over
And
there.
of course, Sylvia Beach, who published Ulysses in Paris in 1922 in Shakespeare and Company, and this is the interior of her shop. And this is Corinne, and she was a kind of a rebel because the 2 of those lived together, and she
Yeah.
was from a very old American family who were all in clergy, but she ran away to London, and she developed a beautiful sort of English accent, and she was with her partner. They could get married now, they couldn't then, so
Yeah.
but they were happy. And
And
this,
all-
of course, is
And that lovely lady there in
that
white.
lady she's a typical Edwardian lady, and that's from the Iberian period.
And thinking as well,
This is-
Patrick and Willie Pearce probably walked down here
they
as
would
well.
have, yeah, because basically the father has a sculpture down in
Yeah.
Hollows. And this is Lucia, his daughter, at 2 different ages.
Yeah.
This is 4 generations of the family. This is Stanislaus, his father. This is James himself. This is Giorgio, his son, and this is Stephen, who's still alive, lives in Paris.
So everyone has to come in here.
Everybody has to come
You have to come in here. And it's fantastic.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah.
brilliant place. And we had the
Yeah.
privilege
And of course-
just bumping into you by pure
Well,
accident.
there you go. Well, that's the way to do it. And of course, in one of the stories in Dubliners, they talk about pre-1930s, all Guinness bottles had a cork, not a cap.
Yeah.
So in one of the stories, they send the corks back too soon.
Yeah.
So they still have to open the bottle. So it's in the winter, so the fire is on. So they put it beside the fire, and of course the cork pops out.
Yeah. No, it's a fantastic place.
Yeah, it's wonderful. Yeah.
It's like time has forgotten.
Well, time is still
Harry
for us.
Potter. Well, I hope he's enjoyed this. I'm going to switch this off now in
Yeah,
case my battery runs out.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
any
yeah.
last messages you want for anyone? Just tell them to pop
The
in.
most important thing is we do readings of all of his works. We do this one here is, of course, Portrait of the Artist, which is a biography, an autobiography because he wrote it himself. And of course, this is done every Wednesday between 1 and 2. Then we do Ulysses on Thursday evening at 7 in English, and on Saturday morning from 11 to 1 in English as well.
Yeah.
And then we do it in French at 6:30 on Saturday. We do it in Portuguese at 3 on Saturday. We do it in German at 1 on Sunday, and we do it in Italian at 3 on Sunday as well. And then in the
Fantastic.
evening we do Finnegan's Wake. And then, of course, during the week you'll have lots of opportunities between 1 and 2 of doing Dubliners plus Finnegan's Wake again on Monday.
Yeah.
With great Des Gunning.
So thanks very much
No,
for
no,
letting
very
us
much.
in. I'm going to end this video now.
Yeah,
And thank you very much for letting us into this beautiful place. So I'm just going to end this.